Hey everybody, Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. I hope that everybody's ready to get their week off to a great start. Mine started on yesterday as usual. So I am one day in already and facing all of the challenges that I have created for myself in order to achieve the things that I have set in my mind that I desire to achieve, not just for myself, but for the betterment of the people. First and foremost, I'm responsible for, beginning with my wife and children, all of them, and also to make an impact on this world, leave a legacy, have something that speaks for me long after I'm gone, which will be my legacy. And I teach that. I try to inculcate it into the minds of my children. I definitely believe that that's the ultimate goal, to come to this world, to find your purpose and your passion, and then invest in yourself and your potential and your ability to the mark on hit the mark on achieving what you were designed to be. And I think about growing up in a religious household and then evolving into who I am now and understanding so much more than I knew growing up, but having that foundation. And I think about when people who are a part of religion talk about sin all the time. And it's funny, I just mentioned hitting the mark. And when you look at the etymology of the word sin, one of the functions of it was as an archery term, which meant to miss the mark. To me, the ultimate sin is the failure not to live up to your purpose. We have all these rules and all of these don't do this, can't do that, stop doing this, and all of that. But at the end of the day, you can follow all of those rules. You can line yourself up. You can build yourself up with this false sense of morality and achievement. But if you didn't hit the mark, you failed your designer. You failed your creator. You failed your purpose. You failed yourself. If you come to this world and all you do is exist, if you come to this world and all you do is survive, you did not hit the mark. To me, that is the greatest sin, to come here and not live in your purpose, to come here and not live out your destiny. That is the greatest sin ever. And you should have a heart to fulfill, a heart to fulfill. And so that's what I'm going to encourage you to do this week, is to fulfill. And I'm going to talk to you about something. Normally, this is Money Monday, and we talk about all different types of elements and aspects concerning money. But I want to talk to you about something that trumps all of this, because if you haven't engaged this one thing, you have already put stumbling blocks and obstacles, and you've hog-tied your potential and so many other things, and that's healing. We've all been through something, and while others will more than likely see this, I'm speaking primarily now to my people, Black people. I'm speaking primarily to you because no other people have been through what we've been through. Now, I'm not saying that for the purpose of granting you an excuse to bow out. I'm not saying that for any reason to grant you some kind of latitude or space to just kind of squeeze on through things. No, what I'm saying is, in that very truth is also hidden the powerful fact that we were built for the battle, that we were built to do exceptional and extraordinary things. We were built to go through things that others have not and cannot and will not ever go through and still rise. But a part of this is this need to heal. I am not exempt from it. I have had to heal from a number of different things. I don't know anybody that has made it through life without having taken some bumps and some bruises. experienced some hurt, some pain, some loss, and some struggle. I don't care where you were born, how you were born, who you were born to. You've been through something. You've experienced the pain of loss, the pain of frustration, the pain of disappointment. You've had some things you've gone through. Some of us were not born to parents who were at the time capable of being what we needed them to be. And we kind of wandered and meandered through this maze that led us to places of struggle, uncertainty, disappointment, and not really knowing who we were. Some of us were born into poverty, and poverty sucked the hopes and the aspirations right out of us. But what I want to tell you is that you're built for it. But being built for it doesn't mean you just get to move on and not heal. I tell people all the time, and matter of fact, I posted this the other day, if not yesterday, I posted that there's a difference. There's a distinct difference between getting past something and healing from it. A lot of us have learned how to move past things and keep going because we've had no choice. Life hasn't given us a break. Life hasn't sitting down and said, well, you've had enough. I'm going to sit to the side and let you catch up. Life doesn't do that. There's this thing when discussing and understanding trauma called re-injury. And it's a part of the dynamic of complex trauma, or what some call complex PTSD. And what it is that I am not, if I suffer from complex trauma, I am not the victim of one traumatic event. I am a victim of multiple traumatic events. Sometimes it's the same event when you're talking about children who've been molested in the home multiple times, children who are beaten in the home multiple times. And then there's this unique dynamic that multiplies that when you're a child called adverse, it's sort of called adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. And that means that if I don't deal with this, it's going to impact me for my entire life. It's going to make me more likely to develop heart disease. This isn't even taking into consideration the nutritional elements and maybe a sedentary lifestyle. This is solely based on the traumatic experiences as a child. 3.5 times to develop diabetes, 3.5 times to develop ischemic heart disease just by having these traumatic experiences in life. Some of us grew up with parents who struggled with addiction. And that came not only with them not being able to perform their duties, but many times them being hostile towards us. And that's an adverse childhood experience. Some of us grew up in homes where the parents broke up and divided, and that's an adverse childhood experience. Some of us grew up in the house where there was constant fighting between the parents. That's an adverse childhood experience. And I can go on and on. There are roughly about 16 or 20 that are very prevalent. And all you need is 4 to be over the top. Anytime that you have at least 4 points, each adverse childhood experience is worth 4 points. Once you get to 4 points, 3 times more likely to develop ischemic heart disease, the #1 killer in this nation when it comes to natural causes. You're three times more likely to develop depression. You're 12 times more likely to attempt suicide. Not just have suicidal ideations, the thoughts of it, but to actually follow through on it. So all of these things are following you, and if you're not taking the time to heal, and see, most people can't engage the healing process because healing has a way of hurting before it helps. And so we kind of go into it and like, no, I don't. I'm gonna pretend that it didn't happen. I'm going to move on, and then I'm just going to bury it with other experiences. But the problem is it's still festering underneath all of the baggage you keep piling on top of it, trying to hide it, trying to suppress it. You never healed from it. It's still an open wound just covered. And one of the things that I find myself doing with my new clients that are coming in to work with me at the Visionetics Institute is I find myself focusing first and foremost on healing. Rarely have I encountered someone who comes in and is at least already going through the healing process. Most people are trying to learn how to navigate around it. Most people want to say, I'm done with that. I'm done, that's over, I'm good. No, you're not good. There's a process of healing. Now, the beautiful thing is that when the Most High created us, when God created us, when all this stuff was brought into place, however you believe it happened, for it to have the order it has, it had to be set in motion by an intelligence. It can't be random with the number and the specificity that we engage life with every day. We're talking about 100, at least 100 different uh, elements, universal, spatial, organic, gas, all these different elements, 100 of them. If they were to vary 1 degree to the right, 1 degree to the left, life on this planet would cease to exist. It has to be that order, and it's been years. That's order. There's order in the midst of chaos, and you got to be able to discover and see the order in the midst of chaos to understand that even the most chaotic moments can't destroy your destiny. But you need to learn how to heal. You need to learn how to heal. And like I said, most of us learn how to move along, to get past it, to become functional in our hurt, but we didn't learn how to heal. And see, God designed us to be self-healers. God designed us to be self-healers. You engage it and you start to understand it. And one of the things you have to understand, if you're still hurting from things from your childhood, the first thing that I bring to the forefront for my clients is it wasn't your fault. You will be surprised how much children take on themselves when things start falling apart in the house. They tend to blame themselves. They tend to try to overcompensate. They try to take on adult roles and fix things they didn't break. And all that does is compound the already complex reality of the trauma they're experiencing. And because mom and dad are so engulfed in self, and I'm teaching this from two different, I'm talking about the need for healing, but I'm also inciting you to think more maturely in the way you're dealing in your home with your mate. Because you're not just engaging your mate, you are impacting your seed. And you need to understand that your seed needs you not only to be functional, your seed needs you to be whole. And there's a difference from being functional and being whole. Being functional means I can still get up and go to work. I can still come home and take care of duties. Being whole means I have the capacity to nurture, to teach, to empower, to implant, to do the things my children need me to do to ensure that they go out into this world that is inherently hostile towards them and not only perform, but win. My children are depending on me. I don't have time to be engulfed into my own misery to the point that I make them miserable. But then if you've already gone through it and you've experienced the misery, you've experienced the hurt, you've experienced the pain, you've experienced the difficulty, there's inside of you a capacity to heal. Now, if you have access to someone who can help you identify this source, this power on the inside of you. See, the mind is powerful, and the mind. There's old teachings long before it was written in Proverbs. It was written in ancient Egypt, and that is that there's life and death in the power of the tongue. Well, okay, we are talking about that, and life and death in the power of the tongue. And I go into this in great detail in this upcoming book that's coming out. I'm not going to get into that because I'm not here for that, but I go into great detail, way further than I'm going to be able to do this morning because I've got things I got to jump off and go do. And I'll be back later on because I want to talk about this all week. As a matter of fact, I'm going to start a new program about healing. And it's going to be holistically. I'm going to take Master Fitness 21, which is my company that focuses solely on fitness. And I'm going to take the Visionetics Institute, and we're going to merge programs so we create a program for holistic healing. So we're healing in our minds, we're healing in our hearts, our spirits, our souls, and our bodies. We have work to do. But when you talk about the life and death and the power of the tongue, and you take the religiosity out of it and you start to think about it in a scientific manner. So your words are simply an expression of your thoughts. They're the audible verbal expression of what you're thinking. And then you also know that there's power in your mind. That's taught in scripture as well. That your thoughts have power. Matter of fact, your thoughts have physicality, and your thoughts trump your words. Your words are normally going to line up with your thoughts consistently. Now, every now and then you'll make yourself say something, but in your mind, subconsciously, you don't believe it. So you never follow through on it. You never act on it. So it's not real faith. It's just something you said. But what you're thinking subconscious, the things that are happening on a cognitive level when you're not even focused on it, are the things that rule your life. And so I need to know how to deal with what I'm dealing with deep down inside, not on the surface. Because if I can start to control what's on the inside, that means program. Reprogram my subconscious, reprogram the way I look at things, reprogram and reset and shift my paradigms. I'm moving from being a victim to being a victor. I'm moving from being oppressed to being powerful. I'm moving from being poor to being abundant. I'm moving from these places, not physically first, mentally. And in the process, I'm shedding the scar tissue of my pain and hurt. Emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. I'm shedding it and I'm healing. I'm becoming whole. Healing is the point. When you have healed, you have become whole. When you move on, you just learn how to function with the pain. But when you heal, you become whole. Your ability to nurture, your ability to speak, your ability to move, your ability to touch lives, your ability to stand up and take on the challenges of the world are complete in capacity. So the thing is, there are a bunch of us that are hurting. And the hurt sometimes is overwhelming. And then when it comes to us men, and I hope that some of you who are men are going to get this and share it with other men. As men, we are not allowed to hurt. So we hide it even deeper. We don't want to let anybody know that there's a vulnerable side, that there's a hurting side. Some of us were molested as children and we still haven't talked about it with anybody. Some of us were yearning for fathers that we never knew and we never talk about it with anybody. Some of us that had ideas and dreams and had them squashed for whatever reason don't want to talk about it. Some of us are trying our best to be holistic in our home and be the one that everybody leans on, everybody comes to, everybody talks to, everybody asks. But we don't have anybody that we can talk to. And we just sit in silence and pain and hurt. Brothers, you got to come out of that. You got to be willing to sit down and talk with one another. You got to be willing to find someone who you can trust and confide in, that you can dump all this stuff off and unpack it and process it, because it's weighing you down. You're not living at a fraction of your capacity because you're carrying hurt and pain as far back as your childhood. It's time for healing. Man, I want to give you this analogy, then I'm going to jump off here and I'll be done. I was watching the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 3 last night. And early in the game, Kawhi Leonard, who is a phenomenal player on both ends of the court, does something that kind of tweaks, I believe, his right leg. And he refused to come out. He kept playing, and he had an unbelievable game, something like 36 points. But there were times you could see it was still just a fraction of who he was. Why? Because he wasn't whole. There was something about what was going on with his physicality that needed healing. Now, because he's an exceptional player, he was able to compensate for the deficiency caused by the injury, but he wasn't 100%. There were some things that you were used to seeing him do that he just couldn't do. It was one where a person stole a ball and broke out, and he started out to go chase him down, something that he's done numerous times, and he just stops. Why? It's not there. And he's going to have to do something between that last night and the next game, which is tomorrow, to try to get that better. I don't know if it's something that can be healed in that short period of time, or something he's going to have to play through until their playoff run comes to an end, or they win, or whatever. But the thing is, that happens emotionally. That happens psychologically. That happens spiritually. You get wounded and you're trying to perform with an open wound. You're wounded and you're trying to perform and you're not healed. You need to heal yourself, because in healing yourself, your capacity to touch lives, your capacity to heal the world, your capacity to be an impact is greatly increased. We're going to talk about healing some more this week, and I'm going to unveil this program that anybody can participate. It's time for healing. I'm looking at so many people who on the surface are doing the best they can, but haven't healed within, haven't let go and healed. I want you to understand something as I shut this down. You were designed to go the distance, to win, to make your imprint on this world and in history. And a part of that means you've got to be at the optimal level of your design. That means when you take a bump and a bruise, when you go through something, you can't just shake it off and keep going. You might have to initially, but at some point you got to stop and heal. You've got to take some time to yourself and heal. I don't care how super you are, if you keep taking bumps and bruises, you're going to break down. You need to take some time to heal. And finally, what happened to you when you were a child was not your fault. And many of you have allowed other things to happen to you as an adult because of what happened to you as a child. Time for you to start healing. It's time for you to start seeing the value in who you are. It's time for you to start living life at the level of your design. With that being said, I'm going to jump out for here. You guys have an unbelievable day. Hopefully I'll get back in front of you, but we definitely have work to do. I'm out. I almost forgot. Live your life on full. That's what I wake up every morning and say, okay, how am I going to go out here and give life my best? Because I don't want to die with unfulfilled potential still on the table. So I made up in my mind a long time ago that I was going to die on E. And all that means is every day I'm going to wake up and give that day all I have that day. Then I'll go to bed and I'll go to bed that night and I'll recover, I'll recuperate, I'll regenerate, I'll restore my spirit, my mind and everything. And I'll get up and I'll do it again the next day. Why? I don't want to die with potential. I don't want to take potential to the grave with me. To me, that would be a failure. I mean, I'm challenging you to do the same thing. With that being said, I'm out of here. You guys have an awesome day.